All right, we're here for Phyrexia. All will be one. Week one, and we have our feature matches here. We got Tim M, who's a new player on our server, but not that new to the league in general. And he's up against Johnny, who's one of our long-standing veterans. Justin is unavailable today, so Spaghetti Mitch is gonna be sitting in, and he's gonna be looking at Johnny's hand. So Johnny did send me his deck. He's running a green-black deck, splashing a couple white bombs. What's his starting hand looking like?
Right now he's got green, white, and black cards, but no green mana until the top deck right here. He's got a Phyrexian Arena of note, Vanish
Okay.
into Eternity, Whisper of the Dross, a little removal spell, Infectious Bite, which is also a removal spell, and a Plague Nurse.
All right. Yeah. Phyrexian Arena is a very Johnny card. So not surprised to see that in his deck. But he has a bunch of heavy hitters, which we may come to see after. Tim over here, he has like a little white black deck. It looks like he has a bunch of pretty assertive cards in his hand here.
Top
Mandible
deck here.
Justisher to go along with the one that just got killed. He has an Imperial Recovery unit, so he's been to Kamigawa here. So he's got a Befriending the Moths as well, a Planar Disruption, and Fleshless Gladiator, which is the 2/2 that you can bring back if your opponent is corrupted. Yeah, so he's shielding his second color here from Johnny for the time being. He does have a swamp in hand, but hasn't needed to play anything with it yet.
We picked up a Stinging Hive Master, which leaves behind a Might when it dies, and a very important top deck, which just came this turn, Elish Norn.
Yeah,
Might make a difference.
yeah. His white cards are Vanish into Eternity, Elish Thorn, and the Eternal Wanderer. So uh, he's also got Thrun, Black Sun's Twilight, Glissa. So he's got a collection of on color rares here, many of which can take over the game. Tim, on the other hand, his pool's not filled with bombs, but looks like he's got himself, like I said, a little nice little assertive black white deck here. But he hasn't really been able to get on board here just yet. He's thinking about using this planar disruption here on the Plague Nurse. And I believe this means he'll be able to attack with his vehicle. Yeah,
Vehicle getting value already.
yeah. So this vehicle again, if we haven't played Kamigawa in a while, might need a refresher. But this one gets back a creature or vehicle with 2 mana or less back to your hand when it attacks, and it's just a crew 2. So pretty nice
Which
little card
vehicle?
there.
Maybe we should explain. This is week one. How did Kamigawa get in the deck?
Yeah, well, Kamigawa is still in standard, so it's still eligible to be chosen here
What's the
in our
league
league.
mechanic this time
Yeah, so at 3 losses, you become corrupted, which Tim is at 3 losses, so he is corrupted, which means at any point he can choose to re-roll his pool, but it will be only all will be 1 packs. So there is a player in a feature match later tonight who has been completed, so he's on full all will be 1, and he can only open all will be 1 packs. So it's interesting, this was a mechanic that some people were looking forward to, but then somebody like Tim, who's gone offset, he probably does not want to reroll his pool if he's specifically chosen to go offset. So
Yeah, it's gonna
interesting
be
here.
tough to choose
So
one to do this.
this
But
Elish Norn actually locks down some of the things going on, but it doesn't lock down the Atraxas Skitterfang in his hand, because I believe it's not a trigger. A lot of these creatures that enter the battlefield with oil counters, they just enter with rather than have it be triggered. But the Mandible Justiciar will not be getting +1/+1 until end of turn from artifacts entering at any point while Elish Norn is still in play. And with just a bunch of 2-drop creatures and an Atraxas Skitterfang in Tim's hand, this Elish Norn is going to be here for a little while at least.
Johnny is wondering whether he should play Phyrexian Arena, which from now on is going to get a little value at a small price, and it's on the field, holding
Yes.
up Infectious Bite.
Yeah, so being at 12 is, not exactly when you want to play your Phyrexian Arena, but, he's going to be able to lock down the board here for the most part. I mean, there is a flyer coming from the Befriending the Moths. Yeah, Tim's picked up an indoctrination attendant, which normally would be great, but it doesn't have any abilities when it enters the battlefield. So he would not be able to pick up his befriending the moths or any other type of permanent at all.
It's when you want a vanilla creature that doesn't do anything on ETB.
Yeah, so here comes the Justicia, but it's not going to trigger the other one. Yeah, and you see the little red circle around Elish Norn reminding us of the oppression here. Yeah.
Nope.
Just in case you were wondering why, Elish Norn says, yeah, it's me. Yeah, so Johnny is a player, we've covered a lot, we've seen him a lot, but Tim, new player to our server, not new to League. He played in a few leagues back at the store in 2017 and had a memorable run, we'll say. Brought a bit of controversy with him, and he's on our server now, and he's been participating in a lot of discussions over in the League crafting channel. Definitely has a lot of fun ideas that he's happy to defend. But we get to see what he's bringing to the battlefield here today. So
Looks like
crewing
they're running.
that,
Oops.
yeah, I don't not sure what the crew was all about, considering it doesn't have an attack, but he will be able to get in an attack here with this Justicia.
Maybe I don't know what the oops was. Did you want to do that with the other creature, which also doesn't make too much sense?
And so I guess Johnny's thinking about whether he wants to remove this one or whether he wants to just remove the 2/4 flyer, which is going to be a permanent flyer. I'm guessing he just wants to kill the 2/4 flyer once the moths transforms.
Look at that removal on the
Oh, so
other.
he's doing to the vehicle now that the vehicle became a creature. So he's taking advantage here of perhaps a little misstep to get that vehicle in the graveyard.
Well, Johnny's technically got 8 turns to live, so with Vanish into Eternity and Stinging Hive Master, he's got that's all he's got going right now. He can crack the land for a draw at some
Yeah.
point too.
So Tim says in the little thing he brought up that was very XD. So he's not too pleased with himself. Okay, so Vanish into Eternity gets rid of that before it becomes a creature where you'd have to pay 6. And Tim has not drawn a removal here, so he's just gonna be drowning in what the Elish Norn is doing to him. He does have Atraxas Skitterfang to get in some flying damage, so that might be just enough here. We'll see.
The clock is pretty low with Phyrexian Arena out, so
Yeah, so actually with Phyrexian Arena, it's he's gonna be able to deal 6 damage this way, and then Phyrexian Arena will deal the other 2.
Gulping Scrap Trap was pulled off the top. I think that proliferates on ETB and dies.
Yeah, he'll
Maybe
get
it
to
proliferates
proliferate.
twice.
He'll get to proliferate twice, but he has nothing. He just has the poison counters to proliferate. So he will get a double trigger, but I don't think it's exactly what he's in the market for here. I think he needs to either gain life or get rid of this Skitterfang. So Elish Norn
That's very
stops a lot, but it does not stop the creatures that already come in with the oil counters. Which is a big part of the format. So something to note if you're facing down Elish Norn in a match of limited, your creatures that enter with oil counters still do enter. So just because of wording, because it doesn't use the stack.
Even if Johnny plays a creature out here, I believe it's lethal if you swing out, right? You're gonna hit at least 2 in the air and then 2 more, and then 1 on the draw step.
Yeah, if he decides to go for it, sounds like it would work out here.
Yeah, tapping out.
So
Yeah.
if he's tapped out, so if Tim does some quick math, he'll realize he can get in for 4, and the arena will do the rest as it sometimes does. Yeah, so the Elish Norn came down, but the thing is, Tim had this access to giving creatures flying, kind of unexpectedly.
It was Johnny that needed the life gain, as it turns out.
Yeah, because all of this, because at least the first turn befriending the moths comes down, it's giving flying by surprise, as is the Skitterfang the first turn it comes down. So Johnny could not have been expecting, to be facing down the flying here. So he's going to attack all, knowing, being aware of what Phyrexian Arena says. And, his little, black-white deck with just a bunch of 2-drops. Getting in under Johnny's maybe a little slower deck here. Just getting in early, getting the flying in here to finish it off, and letting Phyrexian Arena do a couple extra damage here, unless Johnny has some life gain on instant speed on his upkeep. We'll be
Yep.
looking at a second game.
And just a Phyrexian Atlas and a plane.
Yeah. All right.
Top.
So
So let's see. We're going into sideboarding. Let's see what Johnny does.
looks
It's
like
an old run,
nothing.
nothing at all.
Yeah, I think Tim clicked done before I could even see the screen where there.
We didn't mention one thing about this league. When you hit 10 losses, I believe you become automatically corrupted, right? So
Yes.
everyone's entire pool is going to be re-rolled into 16 packs of 1, except for those who never hit 10, which there should be a couple.
Yeah, there will for sure be a couple, but those people might also just choose to re-roll their pool. Just depends on how happy you are. I think if people are opening offset, they're less likely to switch up their pool, right?
Yeah.
Because they, part of the adventure for me is just sort of, in leagues has been sort of, opening offset, even though it's usually not the objectively correct thing. It's the more interesting thing, at least, especially with this set, which I know people aren't thrilled about this set as a limited format. Certainly not the worst we've ever seen, but I know people are not super high on it and are looking for maybe something a little different in their league experience than just opening one packs. Yeah,
Johnny
so
had quite an interesting opener there. He
yeah,
had
what's happening in Johnny's
two
hand there?
forests, a swamp, and 4 cards that all cost a green and a colorless. We see one of them on the field right now with the steward. Also, a copper long legs, infectious bite, ruthless predation. So 2 of those are removal spells. And off the top now is lattice blade mantis.
Does he have lands here? Because he didn't pick up a land with the contagious Vorak, so
Literally just got it. Just got it.
okay. So looks like we'll be getting a Mantis coming down. Yeah, so Tim's hand not very defensive here against. He's got 2 Skitterfangs, so that's gonna get him in some damage if he wants to, and he has Befriending the Moth, so he has basically all the cards that allowed him to get the advantage last game, and he's gonna play a rare here, bit of a deep cut here from Kamigawa. Looks like he's ready to cast his Surge Hacker Mech. So let's see if he decides to cast that, or if he decides to cast. Yeah, so he's going to cast that. When it comes in, it deals damage equal to twice the number of vehicles you control to a player or to a creature. So it's without any other vehicles, it always deals 2, and it got
It's a beater, though. You have some instant removal with that. It can really take over a game.
yeah, I do believe it's a crew 4, which is like on the really really high side, but it's a
True.
5/5 menace, so it hits hard. You just need creatures in play to crew it.
It's definitely the high side of crewing, for sure.
So he's going to choose not to attack. He does not want to take 8 this turn, and so looks like he's intending on blocking the Vorak if given the opportunity, but looks like he might not be given the opportunity.
Johnny's going to cut the life total in half here, it looks like.
Yeah, he's gonna put the pressure on, and let's see what Tim has. Yeah, so unless Tim draws a land, he won't be able to crew his vehicle here.
I want to see a might crew a vehicle. That'll be a spectacle.
It might. So yeah, without a land, he won't be able to crew his vehicle to threaten a block. So he's gonna have to figure out what's the best course of action here to not just die. He has the double Atraxa Skitterfang. He's run Clawing Torment, which is a card from Kamigawa. It's a black aura that gives a creature -1/-1, and I believe it can't block. And
But it can still stick around, right? Because it's looking very bad right now for Tim because Infectious Bite instant removal is the last
I
card in hand here.
believe the controller of the enchanted permanent loses a life every turn.
Shouldn't be a problem for Johnny's life.
Yeah, it doesn't take a creature off of attacking though. It just shrinks it.
Looking like we're going to see a game 3.
Yeah, so
Anyway,
this mantis can still attack as a 4/3, and unfortunately, Tim can't really do anything about that.
yeah, losing 1 life. There it is. So it's just a swamp off the top with Infectious Bite. A few ways you can go about this turn. There's no crewing happening. Mites can't block, so
Yeah, this 2
pretty
1 does
dangerous.
not have a good block. And it does not have a good. I mean, I guess next turn he can attack with it after playing a Skitterfang. Try and gain some life, but he'll be taking a big chunk this turn. He'll be going down to 2 if he doesn't block anything. Or 1
Yeah,
with the spider
full
here.
swing. Even the spider comes in. Johnny's deciding whether to take the oil counter off. Yeah.
Well, I think you just always take the old counter. Unless you have like a ton of proliferate cards in your deck, you just do that. Yeah, he's just gonna deal the damage here straight up. And
You know,
Tim, unless he has something that kills all the creatures, which he does not, he will not be
Mhm.
surviving until the next turn. He could play an Atraxa Skitterfang, which can only block 3 of the incoming damage. So we will be. I guess he could sacrifice his draws pits, see if he draws something more impactful. But I don't know what card he could
Not
find
a lot of
that
mana to
that that,
play
that
with.
on 3 mana will solve all of this.
Solve all the problems. There's a concede.
Yeah, so Johnny just played efficient creatures, right? 2/2 for 2 with upside, 3/3 for 3 with upside, 4/3 for 4 that can attack bigger, and Tim just played smaller creatures. Like that's what he did. He just played creatures that were smaller. He didn't really interact, and the larger green creatures took the day here. Yeah, so Tim's gonna send that hand back because it was a bunch of 4 drops and only 2 lands.
Johnny's looking at an annihilating glare with 4 creatures.
This hand
Oh,
is
this hand.
the second hand is also mostly unappealing here. Yeah, he has to send it back. It was just too disjointed to keep. So he is going to be on 5 here, but he's going to have a little Mandible Justiciar here on turn 2, and he's going to keep 3
Oh,
lands, the Mandible Justiciar, and he's going to keep the Kami of Terrible Secrets,
oh,
which
it's terrible.
which gains a life and draws a card if you control both an artifact and enchantment when it comes in.
Goodness for him, Johnny's got no early action. There's a Phyrexian Arena, which caused a little bit of an issue on game 1. A Risk Player of the Dross, which we're going to see right now. And a
Yeah,
Plague Nurse. So besides that, it's just land.
yeah. Whisper of the Dross has been a very, very good card in this format. Better than cards like it usually are.
X1s are everywhere.
Yeah, and you,
Okay,
you
top
and,
deck.
and you and you have to interact, at least in limited in draft with a lot of these poison decks where a lot of the early poison creatures do have 1 toughness, and you just absolutely need ways to get those off the board. So he's just going to play a 4 mana 3/4, good old fashioned vanilla creature here against Johnny's 3/2. So what else is Johnny holding aside from the
Well,
Phyrexian Arena we
Phyrexian
were
Arena
just
or
seeing?
Plague Nurse. Phyrexian Arena or Plague Nurse are the only 2 options this turn. Went with Phyrexian Arena makes sense because the top deck from the turn prior was a double white card called the Eternal Wanderer. Might make a
Ah,
difference in this game.
yeah, might not. We'll see. Yeah, so Tim's got only lands in hand. He is able to redraw here because he has 2 of the lands in play that draw cards. But yeah, as Phyrexian Arena comes down, he's under no pressure. He doesn't know Tim's holding nothing, but even if he is, he can take the hits for a little bit. And that Phyrexian Arena will help him get what he needs to win. Yeah, so Tim's just going to pass the turn. He's going to crack one of his lands at end step, and hopefully be able to untap and impact the board, because otherwise he's going to get buried very quickly, unfortunately.
Card coming out more than likely this turn is Oil Gorger Troll, which is going to gain 3 life. I could be wrong about that. Gorger won't get any card, but it gains life.
Oh no, he can't cast it without drawing a card. I'd be I'd
That's
be
true.
I'd be too disappointed.
I That was probably the right play. I don't know. I was just thinking it was a good card in general since you got Phyrexian Arena. That's like 3
Oh,
free turns,
that's
3
my
extra turns. Yeah.
I'm calling that the oil blazer troll. See if the nickname sticks. Yeah, so he's got his 3/4 here. He doesn't really have a trick. He's just hoping to get through for damage here on a bluff. So Tim has drawn at least a creature can play this turn, Indoctrination Attendant. Um, you know, 3/4 blocker gives him a 1/1.
Yeah. Look at that, minus 3 turns now because the 3 damage came in.
I think Johnny will figure out how to win through the Phyrexian Arena life loss. I think He'll find a way if he is going to be winning. Looks like Tim's going into full control here to try and convince Johnny that he has an instant, as we do sometimes.
A very nice rare pickup in the hand now, Black Sun's Twilight, which you need 7 mana to get the big thing happening, but I don't think there's any value in that right now.
There's not much in the graveyard. Yes, here's the Well Gorger Troll. You know, not drawing the card kind of breaks my heart, but 5 mana 3/4 gain 3 life. You know, it's no turn timber ascetic, but it's getting the job done here.
There seems to be a pattern of the creature's stats on the board here.
All right, so interesting. Tim has now picked up his own Phyrexian Arena, and not under pressure either. This might swing him back into contention here, from this mulligan to 5 and not being able to put on pressure.
There's this Wanderer in hand. It might not be played anytime soon, but I like the long game for Johnny.
If the Wanderer is cast, it will most likely warp the game completely, as that card does. Very, very strong card. Too strong in some people's minds.
Johnny did find one source of white with a Phyrexian Atlas. It's a mana rock.
Okay.
It's a little upset.
No, that's...
And
I'm sure he's happy to see that.
Oh, yeah. There's a Tyrannax Capacity and an Offer Immortality also. Johnny's just trying to figure out what to do this turn.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen this many 3/4s in play at the same time, but...
That Might and the Hive Master come together. They have the same stats. That's all the other 3 fours. Just in reversed order.
Yeah, so this is what we like to see in the feature match. Everyone's drawing cards. Everyone's losing life. We're ramping the game up. Let's see what Tim draws. He's got a Surge Hacker mech, so that can get rid of that 3/2.
I can't remember the name of the card that lets both players draw an extra card each turn, but it's like we have a painful version of that right now.
There's been a few blue cards that have done that. Or well, there was Howling Mine in
Howling Mine. That was your famous. That was the famous. What do you call it? Feature match there with Howling Mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at the board.
I mean, I remember in Brothers where you had that little green 1-drop, the Stalwart, that could tap your Howling Mine for mana. So only you drew.
The board is so perfect right now. Don't touch it.
It's 4 3/4s and 2 1/1s that can't block.
And they're different mites too. The one that pops out of the Hive Master is the Phyrexian one. The black.
Yeah, so this, I mean, the Surge Hacker mech doesn't really have an attack, even though it can be crude. It will just get walled by 2 3/4s and just trade for one of them. And so here's a 4/4 to sort of break the symmetry here, but not really progressing the the aggression just yet.
Well, Johnny does have access to 2 tricks in the Black Sun's Twilight and Offer Immortality. Pretty flexible how you can use them.
Yeah, Offer Immortality is a really good trick because, you know, obviously with the combat trick, there's always the risk of your opponent killing your creature in response. But if that resolves, your creature is winning combat, like no matter what opponent does, pretty much.
Yeah, it beats other combat tricks if they're up against each other. It doesn't draw a card, though.
Yeah, there's a couple combat tricks that have sort of become ubiquitous in this format. The ones that, you know, can get your card back, Complete Devotion and Blazing Crescendo. But the good thing about that card is, like I said, if it resolves, you always win combat, no matter what your opponent does.
Just issue here.
Yeah, so he's got a Prophetic Prism. So he draws, maybe, you know, you could play the Prophetic Prism first, because if you draw something more expensive, you can cast it. He's got a Traxxas Skitterfang, which can actually break the symmetry here. Does Johnny have a way to interact with the Skitterfang?
Black Sun's Twilight is a removal, and Ruthless Predation is sorcery speed one that he's more likely to use, probably.
So he's going to be targeting the Skitterfang with one of those, to be sure. But in the meantime, Johnny's going to be taking 5 here in the air.
That's -5 turns by my math.
Yeah, so we saw Skitterfang do its thing in game 1, and it's sort of doing its thing again. This card's been a really, really high performer for me.
Skitter
And
Fang. Oh yeah,
it's basically good in every deck. It's not like, you read it and you're like, oh, it's an oil card. It's not an oil card. It's good in every deck. And actually, it actually gives some colors access to keywords that it wouldn't normally have. Like I had a blue red deck with that, and I was actually able to give creatures lifelink, which normally in blue red you're not getting life, but that won me the game that I was able to gain some extra life. So good little card, and again provides sometimes some unexpected keywords off color.
Johnny has gotten a second Hive Master off the top and another welcome Oil Gorger Troll or Cloud Blazer Troll, whatever you call it, which is
Yeah,
equal to 3 extra turn.
yeah,
Um, he has quite a few options here with the 2 removal spells,
yeah.
the Offer
Well,
Immortality.
he's gonna have to spend at least some of his mana on getting this Skitterfang off the board. Even if he's
Looks like
gaining
he's,
with Oil Gorger Troll, I don't think he wants to take another 5. But
oh no, that's dangerous.
yeah,
Fight
especially
with the
with
Plague.
Arena in play. Yeah, he's just gonna get that off the board now.
What instant speed thing? Is it just full control here? Looks like he goes full
Well,
control.
no. Tim has because of his vehicle, he has priority. He could crew it,
That's true.
so he's going to be getting priority at all times. So Johnny has decided that he wants to attack here. He sees he's at 7, and he knows with the Phyrexian Arena there's a clock on his life total. So he says it's time to get in.
A
And with the
double
offer,
block will
and with
not work
the
out very well.
yeah, with offer immortality, a double block is going to be disastrous here for Tim. Might just cause him to lose here. Might not be able to come back from that because now he can't even crew his vehicle with both of these creatures
That's
off the
tough.
board. Yeah, I mean you have to block, but this is about the worst trick that he could have in this spot.
Uh-huh.
I guess
I mean,
Titanic growth would have also been a blowout here.
and there happen to be 2 options for tricks there, as it turns out. It's
Yeah,
looking pretty
so
bad all of a sudden.
Yeah, so that offer immortality just sort of left him with very few options. Or he's going to crack his lands. Both of his cards he drew for turn were lands, so
Oh no.
he needs to find something real good here from his lands that he's going to sacrifice. Because that one turned around very quickly.
Yeah, Johnny was holding a bunch of cards for instant speed reactions.
Yeah,
Paid
so
off
he's
there.
so he's drawn a Hex Gold Hoverwings, which again is a good card, but not looking like it's going to really be enough here. He's going to cast it. Um, let's see. Doesn't really have an attack here. He doesn't really have good blocks outside of the vehicle. And if Johnny has the Twilight, he can kill the vehicle if before it even has a chance to block.
Yeah,
If Tim
that
decides to
would
crew
be.
it, yeah. So he can allow the crew, and then before blocks, he can kill it.
Well, we're talking about in a theoretical turn after this one. Johnny doesn't have mana to cast anything now.
Well, I mean now if Tim's going to block, gonna try and
Oh,
block
on a
here.
block. Yeah.
Yeah,
That emergence, is that the reanimation spell? And Whisper of the Dross.
yeah. So this is gonna looks like this game is gonna end this turn. We'll just see how it plays out, but I don't think Tim's gonna be able to produce enough blockers here.
There are a lot of options for the turn, especially when you got a big X spell in your hand. So he's just going to think about what to do here.
Yeah, he's even in danger of. I mean, he could die to poison even.
Absolutely, with the Tyranax and Plague Nurse teaming up.
Oh well, 80% of his creatures have toxic, so if Tim doesn't die to regular damage, there's the poison damage too. So Looks like Tim has realized that this is not going to work out. He can crew his vehicle.
Oh boy, the Atlas even pings for 1.
Yeah,
Better than it
looks
looks.
like the mech is going to get killed here.
Looks like Blackson's Twilight's gonna remove that mech and swing out.
Yeah, so just had it all. I mean, you resolve a Phyrexian Arena when you're under no pressure and your opponent has mulligan to 5. There's a good chance you're going to find what you need to win. So we see the power of that here. So congratulations to Johnny. Ends the week on a positive note. And thank you to both players. And we'll be back in a little while with second match of the night.